adventures with my very first hearing aids. Hi, I'm Doug, and they say retirement is time to do things that you always wanted to do, but never had time to do. Too busy working, too busy taking care of the family, la di da, all this other stuff. But how about for the first time in a long time, often what has been decades, how about hearing the world the way it's supposed to be heard? From the TV to the car radio to a whisper to that not so silent fart from your significant other who's been getting away with it for a long, long time, they can no longer blame the dog. Now, if you stay to the end, I'm going to reveal the brand and model of hearing aids that I went with, so please stay to the end. As always, if you like what you hear, don't forget to like and subscribe. So let's get started. In part one of today's episode, let me give you a little background about my journey into my first hearing aid. But don't worry, I'm not going to give you the boring instructional video about what the audiologist is going to do, what I had to get prepared for the audiologist. Yeah, it's one of those tests you don't have to study for. Um, let's have some fun with it because the audiologist is the expert on all this, and there's a whole shit ton of this all on the internet, especially on YouTube, but not a lot of so much on people's experiences in there. First, I want to say I was diagnosed about 3 to 5 months ago with a high, moderate to severe loss in both ears, with the pain in the ass tinnitus, which I knew for a long time I had. Though I have problems hearing all sounds, the higher pitched ones are especially harder for me, especially if higher pitched sounds are when I'm in a crowded spaces, background noises, think of a presentation, be it the movies, be it a restaurant, anything like that. That's when my hearing gets worse. Um, one thing the audiologist I'm going to point out told me is, she was asking me about my history. I was in the military in the early 1980s, Marine Corps, military police, and never once in any of the training from boot camp to the law enforcement school in San Antonio to in the fleet and all the training that we do to keep up all of our certs and everything else like that. I don't ever recall wearing hearing protection, no ear pro, no nothing. So that probably contributed majorly to my hearing loss. And I probably have had it for a long, long time. And explains to me, and also the audiologist did point out to me, because they quiz you on stuff. And again, sorry, I wasn't going to get into what the audiologist does, but they quiz you and stuff like that. And I realized I sit in the front when there's presentations or sit on the side where I can have an unobstructed view of the instructor, especially what they're talking about, their body languages and stuff. Because for years, I wasn't hearing it properly. So I was doing everything I could to make up for that loss. Yeah, I'm probably a poor lip reader, but I am lip reading and I am taking cues from the body language and stuff. So if these are things that you notice that you're doing, it could be because you have a hearing loss. But there's also something I want to say, and this is kind of poetic or whatever you want to, and it's not me, it's from a neighbor's friend. Marty, you know who you are. But they recently made a joke that maybe the hearing loss for old men, because men are usually the ones losing their hearing first, is by God's design. And it allows us men, when we get older, we can continue to hear our buddies talk because they have lower voices, but it naturally filters out our wife's high pitched nagging. Yeah. Again, wasn't me. That's Marty. If you have a problem, put it in the comments. I'll pass it to him. I promise. But let me tell you something. Setting my car radio volume to 5 now versus the 15 to 20 is magical. I can hear the quietest shuffle or the not so quiet ones. And I really have to ask this question to those who with hearing aids or those who have perfectly good hearing. How the fuck do you deal with people who refuse to pick up their feet when they walk? My God, it just squeak after squeak after squeak. How do you deal with it? The reason why I laugh about this or complain about this even more so. The second day after I had my hearing aids, my wife and I were out shopping. We went to a TJ Maxx and we're inside there. It's got that big linoleum floor, and it sounded like everybody was dragging their feet. I just squeak after squeak after squeak. I had to turn my hearing aids down. How do you deal with it? Please let me know. How do you deal with it? Somebody asked the question, why are you doing it now? Why are you looking at hearing aids now? Well, good question. but if not now, when? And isn't it time for us at this age, especially, to be selfish? We men over the years have put our families and everyone else ahead of us, and we've suffered, especially in our health. And we've lived through the mentality, especially a lot of us who were in the military right out of high school, of the suck it up buttercup. Those days are no longer there, and that type of thinking needs to stop. So, yes, we need to be selfish about our health. If you're going to be jumping into the world of hearing aids, be it over the counter stuff that you get at Costco or Sam's, or the more expensive brands that you have to go see a professional audiologist for, not saying the ones at Sam are not, but go to your healthcare and go to the professional audiologist. Like you're going to be looking at Phonic, Signia, Widex, Oticon, Resound, etc. Here's my advice, and I'm going to tell you to take it with a bit of humor when you first get them, and even taking them out for the test drive, because a lot of them let you take it for a test drive for 45 days, give or take. You need to first brace yourself for the world of sounds you have forgotten or never knew existed. And what I mean by this, I never expected to hear every rattle in the car as I drove. And I really do mean every rattle. I was even hearing, and it was driving me nuts, the rattling or the slushing of the ice in the cup in the center console of my soda cup that was in there. I could hear that. I had to adjust the sound in there. It was insane how much it opened up to me. But I can relate to this because when I was 7 years old, when I got my first pair of glasses, and yeah, I learned how to read by putting the book right there in front of my face, inches from it. The first day I was home with the new glasses that when they finally came in, I walked into the dining room of the house that we were living in at that time. And looking around, my mom had a lot of stuff on the table was on. I could like actually recognize the different colors better. I could recognize things in there. But I looked up into the corner in the ceiling and I'm going, what is that? I've never seen that before. And I'm pointing to it, right? And unfortunately, and everyone looked up and finally saw what I was looking at too. It was a cobweb my mom had missed in the corner, but it's something that normal folks see every day that I wasn't seeing. I'm not saying you should see cobwebs every day, but little things like that. There are some additional pitfalls that I was not entirely prepared for, like thinking I could enjoy a quiet dinner out with a wife and not hear every chew, slurp, whisper coming from the tables next to us or two tables down. Here's my question. If you've been wearing hearing aids for a while, does this happen to you? How do you guys handle it? Love to hear it. Put it in the comments below. So, what have I learned this past week with these new hearing aids? And first thing that comes to mind is it's not about just amplifying sounds, but it's about hearing what I haven't heard in many, many years. And it's the good, the bad, the ugly, and the great. And I love to be able to say I can hear the birds chirping in the morning or the rustling of the leaves, but it's early winter right now, so there's not many birds out, and I raked up all the leaves or most of them. And but what I can say is when the feral cats my wife has been taking care of that are right around our house, when they start getting into it, I can hear it. When a neighbor's cat comes in the yard upsetting the feral cat colony, I can really hear that. And trust me, that's not something you want to hear when you're first getting up in the morning, nor is it when you're sitting in the den trying to watch a movie. Definitely not something you want to be hearing. It's not a pretty sound. The other thing I want to note that I've learned in this past week is there's a learning curve to social situations. And what I mean, and please don't laugh, do you know how hard it is not to dip into conversations being had by people at the table next to us or two down? It's hard to hold my tongue, especially when I hear people that are talking out of their asses and they have no clue what they're talking about. And it could be a profession that you've been in for 20 years or something you used to do. It drives me insane. Now, I could provide you with a cornucopia of examples of how hearing aids help you reconnect with life, but I won't, except this one thing. It's time to be selfish. There's a lot of stuff that's out there that we're missing. So let's recap. I've covered my journey for this first week with the new hearing aids, with its highs and lows, funniest stuff, and the first few days of wearing the hearing aids. And like I said, it's different, but it's a good different. Before we wrap up today's episode, I promised to reveal the brand and model of the hearing aids I selected. I went with the Oticon Intent ones. First, I want to say they are not cheap. However, I wanted to go with something that was going to last for years. Plus, 2 years from now, I did not want to be chasing technology and so on, just like we do on cell phones and cars. And also, per the ratings and reviews, like in Reddit, online as well, I've noticed they were the ones highly recommended for people with tinnitus or tinnitus. Tinnitus, yeah, still can't say that. It helped mitigate. It doesn't take care of it, but it was one of the ones better rated for mitigating the tinnitus that I suffer from. And I can honestly say that so far they've been a game changer for me. The phone app allows me to control a lot of the settings, such as volume per ear, so I can adjust it depending on how the sounds are coming in. Especially like when I'm in the car, I can adjust it, and when I'm out shopping or with dinner with a wife, I can adjust it appropriately. The rechargeable batteries last for a long time. Right now, the app is telling me I'm getting about 17 hours or more per charge, but let me be honest, if I was going to be listening to music only, or as I was sinking into my tablet listening or watching a movie, I would highly recommend taking out the Oticons and putting back my Samsung Earbud Pros. You may have Apple earbuds or whatever you call them, because they have a whole lot better sound and they have that capability for noise cancellation, which if it's on these, I don't know or have not unlocked that settings or that capability in the app. Let me just say, if I was going to mow my lawn this last year, I moved from a gas lawnmower to an electric lawnmower. Not because I'm trying to save the planet or anything. I just got tired of having to run off and get gas. It's easier for me to just swap out batteries. Now, I would take the earbuds, the Samsung earbuds, because they do have noise cancellation at the same time while I was listening to a podcast or music or something. So that is one thing I'm going to be quite honest. These are not designed for great if you want to be listening to music and everything. They're not designed for that. Or if you want a noise cancellation while running the lawnmower. Again, not designed for that. So I would not wear them too, because it's going to pick up all the noises in the world. So at the end of the day, I went with the Oticon Intent ones. This is where you guys get to help me. If you have a funny story or a piece of advice about hearing aids that you would like to share, please do me a favor and drop it in the comments below. Let's share a laugh, have some wisdom, share that too. Also, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. It really helps with everything else. As always, I'm Doug. This is Dying to Retire, and I'll see you in the next episode.